Here's your host, Dean Masich.
Welcome back to Hashtag Kangaroos. Back after a couple-week absence, been away on holiday there for a little bit of time over in Thailand. But today we're breaking down a frustrating one. North Melbourne. We had a very winnable game against the Giants. Stayed in the fight all day, but just fell short in the end, going down by 7 points. There was plenty to like, some big moments that nearly swung it our way, and a few missed opportunities that proved costly. We'll go through the key turning points, standout performances, and ask whether this was just one that got away for the Roos. It was close, it was tense, and it hurts a little, but let's get into it. I'm joined by the one and only Mark. Hello. This is Hashtag Kangaroos. Let's get into it. Mark, your thoughts on a loss? Let's just get straight into it.
If it was last year, we probably would have said it was another honourable loss, and we're happy to move on and stay. We would have been talking about staying competitive to late in the game, and that's still the case now. But I think we've improved to a point where we probably expected to win that game, and I thought it was very winnable for us, and we probably let it slip. Through some probably through method and just some bad decision making.
Yeah, do you think? Look, there's a couple skill errors. I felt like we were in control most of the game as well. Look, the stats would say everything was very even. The game was pretty even all the way through. I think we got off to an early start, good early start. We're up by about 3 goals. GWS called their way back into it. Then we got the momentum back, lost momentum. It was back and forth right till the end. But I guess it's just those fine margins, Mark, that still hurt us at the end.
Yeah, I felt like to me we had control of the game and we were dominating, getting it inside our 50. If we made an error when we went inside our 50, it felt like they were getting a goal every time. It just felt like it went from one end to the other in a flash, and they would have an easy shot for goal down the other end. A lot of supporters I've seen on social media have been wild with anger at our defenders, the backline, the key defensive players, particularly Core and Logue. But to be honest, look, we definitely missed Comben very badly in that game, but I don't know if it would have made enough difference because the way the ball was coming in, Superman wouldn't have been able to stop those forwards. Now, on top of that, Cadman kicked a couple of freakish goals. Stringer
lucky
kicked
goals too, Mark.
Yeah, lucky. Yeah. Stringer kicked a freakish goal. Like they had and obviously the touched one. We don't no point going over that again. Everyone's talked about that. I don't ever really whinge about umpiring, but I was frustrated watching the game with the umpiring. I was very frustrated. So I don't think a lot went our way from that perspective, but I did get frustrated watching us kick it long into the forward line and then see the ball rebound out. I saw Trembath was outnumbered so many times. He had no chance, it felt like, where they need to start using Dersma, Curtis, Larkey, and the smaller guys. They can't just kick it long like to Larkey or Trembath and hope for a miracle. They've got to have players on the move. So that to me, I'd imagine they would have reviewed that today and gone, we can't be wasting our forward entries like that, because if you play a team like GWS, they're going to punish you on the rebound, and that's what happened.
And I guess the big difference in the game was the GWS and the Orange Tsunami, as they like to call it, like you sort of mentioned. 68 points from their back half to forward half, out of a score of 105.
Yuck.
So it's a big reason they won the game. We have improved in that area this year. We are 5th in the league for scores from forward half turnovers, which is a reason for our good record so far. We have been between 17th and 18th ladder in probably the last 5 years, so that is a big plus. But we are 17th for defensive forward 50, for defensive 50 to forward 50 transitions from the opposition. So I guess it's still a work in progress, but we are getting there, I guess, Mark.
Yeah, well, we look like the 17th best side in that area on Sunday. That probably it cost us the game, and that's clearly showing up in the stats. I don't know what the answer is for that in terms of whether our guys run too far forward of the ball in that situation. I can't tell from TV, but it just felt like as soon as they won the ball, it just seemed too easy to run the ball from one end to the other. And whether our guys don't have the run to get back or they're just too one way, I don't know. But, that's where players like Finn O'Sullivan are so important because he plays he's as good defensively as he is offensively. And to be fair, Luke Davies-Uniacke has improved dramatically in that area this year. He's been laying a lot of tackles. There's been run-down tackles. So I'm definitely seeing improvement in Sheasel as well. You know Wardlaw's always going to bust his guts, but he's not an endurance athlete. I can't tell. You can't tell from the TV what was happening, but it just did look like strategically we got played a little bit in that area.
Yeah, I mean, I think Ricky Mangides did a great article on your thoughts on that. And that's our first quarter tackle from Charlie Spargo. And that was the reason because he had no options. And then a quarter later, he showed it where we fell just apart on the defensive end. I think Tom Powell fell asleep. We will talk about Tom Powell later as well. Fell asleep defending the zone, and they were able to get over the back and score. Where, as you see the other side with Charlie Spargo, where we defended it really well, he had no options, Lachie Whitfield, and he got stuck doing nothing and got holding the ball, and a great finish by Charlie Spargo. So
he was a positive. To be fair to him, that was by a long way his best game of AFL footy for probably 2 or 3 years.
Well, yeah, and he's had a lot of injuries too.
Yes.
And we will talk about Charlie Spargo as well. Now, you mentioned the back line, and a lot of people have been coming into my mentions about the three talls, in particular Core and Logue. People seem frustrated with those two, in particular with turnovers and sometimes poor decisions. But I don't think we could do much about it. And with that Commoner side, they were maybe exposed a little bit. And we don't have much else, do we, Mark? I mean, we're going to have to stick with those two in particular. Because I don't know what other options there are. There wasn't anything in the VFL, Mark. I can tell you that.
No, look, we drafted the young fella. I've forgotten his name. He's out in
Will Dawson.
No, the other one, the one from after Doveston, the foot injury at the moment.
Oh yeah, well Threadgold, yeah. Well, he's probably out for the year as well.
Probably, yeah. So hopefully he's putting on a lot of muscle, the boy. But So obviously they've got high hopes for him. I think they'll potentially recruit a key defender at the end of this year. That said, at some point, I think they're going to have to give Dawson a run in the seniors. Like Pink's a solid contributor as long as we've got Comben there. If Comben's not there, then I think it becomes too big a risk, and I think they needed a 200-centimetre big defender down there on Sunday. I think it wouldn't have hurt to give him, and he's very aggressive too, Dawson. He's very physical. He might give away a couple of frees. Pink's less of a risk. And I'm not saying Dawson would have changed the result of the game by any stretch, but I'm just saying if we believe he's going to be a player, and he's got enough weight on him now, so it's not a size issue. If we believe he's going to play, I think they're going to have to start giving him games, particularly if someone like Comben's out injured. We've got to. He's been playing a bit of ruck in the VFL, but I think we've got to test him out. He did a good job last year against Darcy, against the Bulldogs, and then played a couple more games, and we haven't seen him since. So, yeah, I wasn't blaming Logue and Core in the way a lot of supporters were angry. What happens is you start blaming the people closest to the people kicking the goals to the opposition, which is not realistically the way the game gets won or lost. It's a whole team defence. As Clarkson pointed out in his press conference, so you can't just blame the defence. And we didn't lose a lot of contests in the air. They were on the lead. It was overlap. It was like too much space. It wasn't really. We weren't great in our defence when the ball hit the ground. Interestingly, I thought we got beaten quite badly in that regard, and I'm not sure we've got that right yet either in terms of the mix. I think Hardiman has to come in. Someone who's a more traditional small defender, but he's been back for 3 or 4 weeks now. So at some point, you think they'd try him.
Yeah, I will talk about the reserves later, but those boys that you mentioned there, they haven't been overly impressive in the VFL this year, and I think you've got to earn a game. Before it's given to you, especially now that we are quite competitive and we have been winning games of football. Luke Parker has been a revelation in the back line this year.
And Zurhaar was good too, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, and we'll talk about Zurhaar. So 2 weeks into the Zurhaar experiment, and he went forward in the last quarter, but a great game against the Tigers, albeit against some poor opposition. But he had some good moments against the Giants, but got found out a couple of times. There's still a learning curve for him back there, isn't it?
Yeah, I can't. You can't complain. I mean, the guy hasn't played as a defender. He's gone back there and he's busting his guts. That's for sure. And his courage is really noticeable in that back line. He's throwing himself he's saving a lot. He's intercepting and throwing his body and stopping marks being taken with just courageous efforts in the air. So you can't complain with what he's doing. It's probably for Hardiman to get back in. He probably has to kick Luke McDonald out, which and Luke's been playing okay. So
yeah, that's right.
That's not going to come easily. So to be honest, it wasn't that end of the ground I had that many issues. It was probably some of the smaller forwards and other areas where they sort of could have done more, I thought.
Yeah, and I'll definitely get your thoughts on the small forwards fairly soon. But one player in the back half that we probably haven't mentioned too much this year, and that's probably Caleb Daniel, who's getting back to almost all Australian form from 6 or 7 years ago. 30 possessions, 770 metres gained. I think he has had an outstanding year, and he's back to his best from the Bulldogs days.
He is. He's. I tell you what, I have to hand it to him. Like at the moment, his kicking is unbelievable. He's back to his premiership period, and in the that grand final period against Melbourne when they lost to Melbourne. Now he was doing this. He was probably the best halfback flanker, quarterback type distributor in the game during that season. He's doing that again. Like he just doesn't miss at the moment. And a lot of these kicks are under pressure, and they're off the side of his right foot. And I'm thinking, oh no, where's this going to go? And then it's just landing right in the chest of the player. Like he at the moment, you cannot criticise anything he's doing. He sometimes he struggles defensively on a bigger player, but he's been doing a pretty good job with that as well. I think he's having a great year, being a top 3. You think with the BNF almost.
Easily, I think. Yeah, no, I agree. Well, he came 6th in the BNF last year. He's had a much better year this year, like he just said. So I think he has to be right up there, and hopefully he can continue his form. Because, like you said, our skills have improved a lot from 6 to 12 months ago. Like just in general, and that must come with confidence. I'm not too sure.
And that's why the forward entry thing's annoying, because they don't need to bomb it anymore. They're doing such a good job getting it to that point, and then I don't know, they're seeing all the Greater Western Sydney's back there and thinking, oh well, there's no choice but to kick it long. But look, the umpire. I mean, Trimbuff looked like he got pushed. This is on TV, but it kept looking like he's getting shoved in the back every time and getting nothing for it. But yeah, that part of the game really was a bit of a waste. But you're right. The skills are so much better than what we've seen in the past. Especially the handball. There's no more suicidal handballs there. Very rare. They're making silly mistakes. There are a couple, obviously, and a bit of lack of polish in a few areas. But compared to what we've been seeing in the old nourishment days, it's like chalk and cheese. So at least it's fun to watch from that perspective.
No, it definitely is. And I think that's a large reason. It's turning into a really fun team to watch at the moment. It was clearly the game of the round. There was a lot of floggings on the weekend, but this game I thought it was a very good game. It would have been better if we won, but unfortunately we just fell short. But still, it doesn't take anything away from the contest. I thought it was a good contest between two pretty good teams, and that's all you can ask at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And we can't look from where we've come from to where we are now. Look, I mean, we can't be, I don't know, too fussy, I guess, or maybe just too entitled. That we deserve to be further along.
I think you worry that I get worried that if we don't win games like that when we have a chance, that the momentum will start getting away from us and we'll go back to where we are. But the reality is that's probably not going to happen. I think that they're a very different team now. And the players, like when we went 3 goals down, I thought, here we go, it's going to be a 40-point loss. 5 minutes later, they're back in it and a chance to still win. So that's very different from the past. Like even giving up that first quarter lead, Powell missed that easy goal to put us 5 up, and that drove me mad that he missed that. They get it straight goal, straight down, back the other end, bang, momentum, score. And then before you know it, they're in the lead. Before half time, I thought, this could get away from us. And no, they've solid out there at the moment. Players like Luke Parker down back, and Jack Dale and stuff. They have made a big difference.
Yeah,
I think in terms of influence on the group. And the young guys, the young leaders like Sheasel and players like Luke Davis Jr., they have grown up. And McKerch is a lot tougher around the contest. Like a year or so ago, he was great on the outside, but he just would be no good around the contest. Whereas now he's pretty good.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. Look, he was quiet on the weekend, but yeah, look, we've got options with him. He could go back, and he went back in the last quarter, had a few touches, still had an influence, and he's kicked some really good goals. Bursting through and breaking lines. So yeah, no, it's exciting times, and we'll go to the most exciting part of the group at the moment. That's the midfield. It is coming together. LDU, Sheasel, and Foss. Plus, you add in Sherry, who himself just absolutely towered Lear with
Wardlaw's
25.
not a bad player.
Yeah, he goes all right. I'll mention him as well. Yeah, I left him out, so unfortunately. Who's finally getting his body right too, Mark. That always helps. 25 disposals for Sherry, 25 hitouts, 18 contested possessions, 10 clearances, 12 tackles, 8 score involvements. It is a player we have missed the last few weeks, and it shows his importance, doesn't it? Especially around the contest.
Yeah. I think that's where I felt like Sherry playing like that, we should have won that game. Because it just, he's won 16 contested possessions. And I felt like that's where we did control the game in close.
Yeah.
I don't care what the stats said. That to me, I felt like we were in control in that area. And that's just, maybe it's probably the contested loose ball gets where we probably weren't as strong. But yeah, he was magnificent. I think the odd one out in that midfield group at the moment, you've got Wardlaw. Got Wardlaw in there, and then Powell probably. Is he even attending any centre bounces at the moment?
Well, I'll talk to you about Tom Powell right now. I was going to save it for a little bit later, but no, he's playing a high half forward at the moment. Now,
it's a horrible position to be stuck in, to be honest, for him. I feel for him a bit because he's been shunted around in different positions, and he'll play midfield when there's players out. And then he goes back to this sort of hybrid role, which is sort of the role Simpkin got frustrated with last year. Simpkin's enjoying the wing now and doing really well there. It actually suits him, that role. I don't know. He's probably thinking, why was he ever worried now? Because he's playing beautifully there. And we've got two great wingers. So that, we talk about that midfield group. I mean, I love Stevens. I think he's fantastic. He's become a really important player for us. And so we've got two really good wingmen at the moment. So Powell won't get a look in there. So he really needs injuries in that. He struggles to get into that midfield mix as well, especially with Finn O'Sullivan back and Wardlaw.
Well, he's had 3 CBAs since round 3. And that's, 5-6 weeks. He's had 3 CBAs. He's not getting in the midfield anytime soon. 12 touches on the weekend, 5 turnovers from that. Not taking his chances in front of the sticks this year. He's kicked 3 goals, 6, Mark, and that's.
He was a better player in his first year than he is now. That's the sad part with him, and I don't know whether his confidence is dented because he's been pushed so far down the pecking order. But he looked like he was going to be guy from First Crack, not David King. Lee Montagna said he'll win a Brownlow one day. In his first year. So he's fallen a long way off that sort of predictions at the moment. I remember thinking at the time that's probably a bit early for that, but that was the sort of class he was showing in his first couple of years. So I don't know. I feel for him. He's a bit no man's land. But right now, I go, I don't know. Rather than try and force him into a forward role that I don't think fits for him, he either needs to play on the bench and go for the midfield rotation, or perhaps he's got to bide his time in the VFL for a while, because that forward mix is still not quite right at the moment.
No, and he's probably not helping just by not taking his chances as well.
Well, he's got to take it,
Yeah, 3 goals, 6. And like he mentioned, he missed a fairly simple set shot, and he's done it a few times this year, about 20 or 30 out. About 30, 40 out, I should say.
Well, Banch played the same role in the VFL, and he was probably the best player on the ground.
Oh, yeah, easily, yeah.
So he's had 20 possessions, a couple of goals in the VFL. He'd be breathing down Tom Powell's neck for that role in the side this week, I'd say.
Well, Sheasel 30 touches, LDU 20 touches, Wardlaw 17 touches from about 60% game time. Finn O'Sullivan is doing a great job on. He did a great job on Callaghan as well. 24 possessions, 7 clearances, kept Callaghan in check most of the game. I mean, that's the midfield mix for the moment, and It's that's just the way it is. There's no room for him at the moment.
He's all just talking of Finn O'Sullivan. Like the guy's been out with a broken jaw. He's all class. Like the amount of time that guy has, he's like the Mark Waugh of footy at the moment. He reminds me of Pendlebury a bit in the way it looks like everything slows down around him. I feel like he's never going to get tackled. I have total confidence whenever he gets the ball that he will get it away and it'll find a target without him getting touched. Now, Luke Davies-Uniacke is similar, that he's difficult to tackle, but it's a bit different. It's more power and speed, and he's terrific as well like that. So they've got it in McKercher. So they've got a few now that can get on the move, and obviously Sheasel. So they're not all inside. We've got a good mix of inside and outside players, or players that can do both roles. For us, McKercher's obviously far more outside than the other guys, but his speed's obviously crucial. So yeah, I feel for Tom Powell, but I'm not sure if he'll retain his spot in the side this week. He'll be lucky if he does. And then, like Jack Darling's an interesting one as well, because it's like in the normal sense, like there wasn't a fifth interchange or the sub rule. Would he just be playing as a sub every week? Because it's interesting. It's like he's playing because of this rule change. He does some important things. Although his kicking for goal wasn't great this week.
Well, he should have had a holding ball at the end.
Oh yeah. Look, his experience and influence on the group's probably worth him playing in the side. I just felt like they were able to run it out too easily, and I felt like we looked slow when the ball hit the ground in our forward line this week. Maybe it's just because we're outnumbered, so it gave that impression. But yeah, it felt like the pressure around them wasn't as good as it has been. With Banch going out last week, and Dolston's going to get better, and his ability to tackle and pressure will get better as well. But his thing isn't speed necessarily; it's more agility. So I don't know. They need to. Dersma did some things that got me really excited. But then you look at his stat sheet and you go, that's like 5 or 6 possessions. A couple of great marks. But he probably needs to get his couple of goals. If he's going to have a 5 or 6 possession game, he probably need to get a couple of goals. But geez, he looks good in the air. Like sometimes maybe that they need to, Larky and Trembath, if there's too many down there, move out of the way, let him have a crack at it. One out.
Yeah. Well, it's similar like Jack Gunston, they use him pretty well at Hawthorn, but well,
that's exactly what they do with Gunston. He's one out against one opponent most of the time. I don't know how Hawthorn are able to manufacture that, but they're doing a good job of it. So yeah, we can't just be bombing it into a Larky and Trembath against 3 tall opponents. That's just not going to work. As athletic as Trembath is, kicking it down there and hoping he takes mark of the year every time is not going to be the answer. But that said, Larky did a great job. He still kicked 4 goals. Curtis kicked a couple. There was a couple of times where you just think we're about to kick a goal, and then they found a way to make a mess of it the last second. Yeah. So there's a bit of that going on, whereas it went down the other end and they found a way to get it through the goals, and luckily a few times as well. So things just didn't quite go our way this week.
No, unfortunately. I thought Spargo and his ability to play team role was very effective as well, Mark. 17 disposals. I think you mentioned him earlier. Ran hard defensively all day, which I like as well. Still not a big fan of his contract, but I could see the value he brings to the team now. Very smart footballer who brings a wealth of experience to the team as well.
Yeah, well, I was surprised. Like, up until that game, I have to be honest, I've been very negative about bringing him to the club. I felt like, how many small forwards can we have? And without being rude about him, how many B-grade type small forwards can we have? But to be fair, he's a premiership player. And look, you could see that on the weekend. I sort of have to concede. He looked a lot better than what I thought he was capable of. And to be fair, because you haven't seen him play for 2 or 3 years, and you look at because he's never been he's not been a 60. He's not a Pickett. He's not like he's a 60-goal small forward. He's obviously always been a very smart footballer. And if we can get 17 possessions out of him playing that role every week and kicks 1 or 2 goals, well, you'd be very happy. But yeah, I think having him and Powell on that forward line is probably not going to be the answer going forward. I think they'll there's more likely to bring Banch back in, I think.
Well, he's probably the only one I could think of out of
Yeah.
a really poor VFL performance. And
Harvey was obviously got a lot of it. You know,
a lot of them were kickouts too, Mark. So
were they? Yeah.
Yeah.
He's had 35 possessions, so he must have got a lot of it. He's definitely got a lot of it, whichever way you look at it.
It didn't hurt you.
He didn't look like he was dominating, no.
No, definitely not.
Whitlock's been consistent, like he's solid, but that's not the role they need right now on the side. So, I don't see anyone else coming in. If Threadgold was fit and playing well in the seconds, he might get a look in.
Yeah.
If Dawson has a BOG in the twos, he'll definitely get a look in.
Well, it looks a fair way off at the moment. The way he's struggling. I mean, just on Will Dawson, while we're on him, outside of that Sam Darcy game, have you seen anything else from him, Mark?
Up forward, yes. He played 3 or 4 really solid games, playing that sort of centre-half forward role.
I think we've got enough forwards, though, Mark. He's never going to...
No, that's not the answer for him. Whitlock's now in that role. So he was playing with Whitlock at the forward line last year and doing really well. And then they moved him back again, and Whitlock stayed forward. So he needs to be able to hold down a key position, a defensive key position role. And trying to train him as a ruckman now is an unusual decision. I don't know if that's going to be the answer or not.
Well, they pushed him back in the second half.
Yeah. Well, he's doing a bit of both.
He struggled.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's not...
Playing him ruck is not the answer either to develop his game.
No, I wouldn't have thought so. I think maybe just let him settle into that key defensive post. When you say, I didn't see the VFL side, how is he struggling? His opponent outmarking him or
look, there wasn't much pressure up the field. It was a pretty ordinary performance. Got done a couple of times in a one-on-one contest.
That's not good.
Yeah, they've actually got a pretty good VFL team, GWS.
They do, yeah. Surprise, surprise.
Yeah, well, with all the depth they've got.
Yeah.
They've got this Gruzlewski who's played a few AFL games, struggled at that level, but he's too good for VFL level. I think he kicked 3 or 4 against us. And they've got a couple others as well. That's they had Callum Brown, who's an AFL footballer, Jake Riccardi, who's an AFL footballer. They're just players that are out of form. Got in the VFL and just dominated like you expect they would.
How did Constantine go for us?
Just like what he does, forward half, defensive pressure. He tried to put that on, but I think his ceiling is limited, Mark. If he comes in, I don't think he gives you too much more than probably what he's giving you.
Well, they've just re-signed him for another 2 years.
Yeah, they must see something in him that, I don't know. Yeah, I wouldn't have given him 2 years. I don't think there was any urgency for that. So
it was it was the need to do it now seemed like an odd decision. But you're right. They obviously do see a role for him long term.
Yeah, he's only played 2 AFL games this year, so that's an interesting one. But I wouldn't think he would come back in this week. But another ex-Swan that is doing very well on the scene and that's Dylan Stevens, Mark. He's going under the radar a bit, and he was great as well. Good link-up player on that wing. I must admit, I didn't see this coming. I know you probably did. You said he had another level to reach. I didn't think he had another level to reach, but 25 possessions has had a pretty good year, hasn't he?
Terrific. It was coming good last year. My issue, the argument with supporters about him was, because everyone was saying he's scared of his own shadow and all that sort of stuff. I know you didn't say that, but that was a lot of the talk on social media. And my view on that is that's not a permanent thing with young players. Like, he's 21, 22. That's just lacking confidence. And the players around the club love him. Right? So they were very supportive of him. And once he had a couple of good games, he hasn't looked back. And then you go, well, hold on, he was a top 7 draft pick, so he's got skill. Yeah. He's got a beautiful kick. Now he's like, his contest work's terrific now. He runs all day. Like, he's the best runner in the club, obviously. He's elite in terms of the Ks we get at him, which is just what you want in a winger. And he's a beautiful left foot kick. So we got him for nothing. It's been a fantastic pickup. He could end up an All-Australian wingman down the track the way he's tracking. So, yeah, I love him as a player, and I'm just equally as pleased with Simpkin on the other side of it. He made a couple of mistakes, but overall, he gets a great, lovely snap goal, which was that rundown. That was that superb bump by Cherry to take out that player, which really got us back in the game. And Simpkin kicked that goal. inspiring from Cherry. But the wings are probably one of the biggest positives of the year.
No, we've got no issues with the wingman, that's for sure. We've got plenty of depth there. I mean, Simpkin did go through the middle. We talked about Tom Powell last week. Simpkin, though, for the last couple of weeks when Finn O'Sullivan was out, he went through the midfield and played the Finn O'Sullivan role. And that, they just changed the wing setup with Blamires playing the wing. Obviously, he went out of the team. But, and that's just an indication of how far down the pecking order Tom Powell is as well. As far as midfield goes, because they probably don't see him as a midfielder, which is a little bit strange. I think he's too good of a player to just be playing in the forward pocket. But, I mean, we can go on and on about that at the end of the day. Now, the small forward merry-go-round, we've talked a little bit about this. Doveston did kick a goal, but we've definitely tried a few players there. Zach Bench, Jacob Costanzi. I don't mind giving the kid a go, Doveston, because he does show promise and he's still learning the craft at an AFL level. But, like you said, I don't know if Tom Powell's the answer. Colin McKerch is playing a really high half forward.
Sorry, you're 100%. So I forgot McKerch is playing that role as well. So you can't have Powell and McKercher and Spargo, I think, all in that forward line. I think that works. Banch is a specialist small forward who's got great endurance, can run up the ground. He's actually good, considering he's a midget, he's actually a really good overhead mark. Unusually good overhead mark for his size. I haven't seen him play badly whenever he's played. And he's gone back to the seconds and put his hands straight back up again. I think he'll play this week. I think he'll come back in with confidence, obviously, but I think that'll be the only changes. And I think Powell might go out for the first time for a while. First time probably for a couple of years. He's probably been dropped to the VFL. But, and not because I've got anything against Powell. I just think his confidence is down and the team balance. I think just playing a midfielder somewhere on the ground because you don't have any room for him in the rotations isn't going to work. It's a bit of a...
I just think he's too good of a player to be playing forward pocket to Tom Powell. I don't like the role for him, but I understand it from a club point of view because we've got the midfield mix. I mean, the midfield's winning the battle each week. They're smashing teams in opposition teams each week in that midfield with Sheasel, LDU, Wardlaw now. O'Sullivan. I mean, there's a lot of depth there. McKercher will probably go through there in the next couple of years. So, it makes it tough for him. And, he did sign a 2-year extension at the start of the year, which I was a little bit surprised about. And he was playing midfield in those pre-season games in the first 2 rounds of the year. But for some reason, they've just decided, we'll scrap that. He's a forward pocket player now. And it's one of those things, like I think the club thinks he's too good to leave out. So we're just going to keep playing him. But if it's, like you said, if it's team balance, then maybe he does have to go.
Put him into the mid. Well, either you're playing him as an extra midfielder playing in the forward line. So he's starting the forward pocket, but he's not really playing as a forward pocket. He's just roaming the ground as an extra mid. If that's the strategy, fine. But then I think you've got to give him some centre bounce attendances to help him develop that part of his game. Because if he never goes in there, he's not going to get better at it. I don't think he's that poor in there anyway. But as a traditional forward pocket, if that's the role they want, then no, he can't. That's not going to work. You're better off with a Banch. He's a specialist small forward. He's excellent at defensive pressure. He's excellent at getting up and down the ground, and he gets himself in position to kick goals.
I was a bit surprised he came out of the team so quick too, Zach Bench.
Yeah, he was very unlucky. Very unlucky.
He was.
And the way he's handled it suggests he might go straight back in. So, we'll see. You might be right. They probably do view Tom Powell's way too good a footballer to be playing in the VFL, and he is. So he might be back playing for Adelaide next year, given they're shorter midfielders right now. They'll probably be looking at him.
Well, outside of the midfield, is there any other position he can play that you've seen?
Wing, but I don't think that option's there for him without an injury. I think Simpkin and Stevens are doing too well as wingmen. I don't think there's any chance they're going to change that. So I think he either goes into the rotations properly as a midfielder, or he won't play. At some point, I don't think the forward pocket thing is, or they decide they're going to lose a forward and play him as an extra mid, get up into contests, which, that has some downside to it with the ball being, if you want to stop the ball being run out of your forward line, you don't do that. So there's some, but against certain teams that might be the right move. So that's fine. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the answer is because I love him as a player, but I don't love him as a forward pocket.
No, it is quite tough, and we've probably spent a fair bit of time talking about him. So we'll definitely try and we'll definitely move on from Tom Powell. And
what about the ruck situation? What do you think about the ruck situation? Outside of Cherry, obviously, he's a magnificent player, but going forward, Gode's obviously the one they want to come forward, 210 centimetres, but he's a year off. He probably still needs to add 5 or 6 kilos of muscle and everything else, and he's still developing. He's only a kid, really. In terms of ruckman, they take a long time.
He went against an AFL quality ruckman. Kieran Briggs is very good player. I don't understand why he's playing VFL. He'll be back in the AFL team this week. They'll get rid of Leika Lee. I don't know. I don't understand that.
That's odd, isn't it?
Yeah, they're playing Leika Lee just for the sake of playing him.
I think they're getting too caught up in the ruck rule changes there.
Yeah, and it started off okay. He won the first couple of centre bounces, and the commentators were frothing that he should be playing every week, and then he just got smashed after that. He got worn down.
Well, Cherry just physically destroys them. I mean, can you imagine how tiring it would be getting bashed by Cherry all day? It'd be awful. He'd be one of the worst people to play.
And that's what he does. He'll wear you down. No matter what the rule changes are, he'll wear you down.
He'll be so bruised by quarter time, you can hardly move.
No, and that's exactly what happened. He was gone after quarter time. They tried other players in there as well. That Madden kid.
Is there a stronger player in the AFL than Tristan Cherry?
Probably not at the moment. You would have said Dangerfield a couple of years ago, but he might be on Washed Watch.
Mate, he's a monster, absolute monster.
Yeah,
I mean, Sheasel was talking about it after the game, saying how good he makes him look so tall. Having a beast like that smashing into everyone around the contest. I mean, there's always a risk with him. It'll get someone high, potentially, but he's pretty good at avoiding doing that, by the way. He doesn't do it. Like, he manages to hit people hard without getting them high. He's very, very skilled at that. But, yeah, just ruckman outside. I don't know if I want to see Cooper Trembath rucking for the rest of his career. I'd rather have him focus down forward. But at the moment, he has to, obviously. And he's good at it, though. He's got a leap.
No, and I think despairingly for the 18% of game time that Tristan Cherry's out of the ruck, I think that's fine. You don't need anyone special in there. And he does win the hit-outs. He wins hit-outs to advantage as well. So I actually quite like it. I've got no problem with the ruck situation at the moment.
Well, they're lucky it's worked out.
They're lucky they've probably got Cooper Trembath where they did in the mid-season draft. So
I mean, Callum Coleman-Jones, I'll reserve my judgment on him till the very back half, last quarter of the year, because his body still looks bashed to me. Like, I don't think he's fully recovered from the Achilles stuff. And when you think Goat is still trying to come back slowly through the VFL, and he's a very good player too, so I hope his body comes good. But they might, I wouldn't be surprised if Callum Coleman-Jones gets another year, but they might need another backup ruckman brought into the club by the season's end.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of clubs need 2 decent ruckmen on their list. You see the Bulldogs without English, and absolutely shambles with it.
Yeah,
they don't have another ruckman. I think Hawthorn have got a couple really good reads. Lloyd Meek.
Go just probably needs a year. He's going to be a good player. He's just too young.
Yeah, look, he did lose his battle to Kieran Briggs, but I don't think there's any shame in that either.
No, of course not.
Yeah, I think against average VFL ruckman, here we'll tell him up. There's plenty to like about Taylor Goat. I'm not worried about him.
He's great.
I mean, it's just trying to find a role. I mean, you got Sherry as your number one ruck, and your forward line's pretty much set. So it's going to be tough.
I think with the 5 interchange.
It may make a difference. He
needs to improve enough to take Darling's spot on the side. That's probably where he needs to get to. But he's a fair way off that at the moment.
Darling's still very smart.
That's right.
So, and Taylor Goat's still very young, and he's the opposite of that.
I'm thinking next year, but yeah.
Yeah, look, it may happen. If you get injuries, look, if something happens to Sherry again, touch wood, it doesn't.
I hope it doesn't, yeah.
Yeah, then I think he's next in line to get in. I'd put him ahead of CCJ, that's for sure. Yeah, he's got good athletic ability. He did win a few hitouts on the weekend, and you can sort of tell he's got a little bit of Luke Jackson in him. He's able to burst from the
Yeah,
pack.
he's quick. He's the quickest player at the club over 20 metres.
Oh, easily. Yeah, he's got the
Yeah.
quick strides. So yeah, there's plenty of upside with him. So, but yeah, we'll go to the reserves now. Obviously,
Yeah.
a big reality check. We've talked a little bit about it. 63-point loss. 44 scoring shots to 19 tells a pretty bleak story. You mentioned Zach Banch. He was the best of the worst. 18 possessions and a couple goals, but just in a game, not much energy and some terrible turnovers, poor decisions. Because a bit of a shame, because we would have liked to see more competition for spots, wouldn't we, Mark?
Yeah, well, we've got no key defenders playing well in the VFL, so that's not good.
We've pretty much only got one AFL listed key
Will
defender left, and
Dawson,
that's
yeah.
Will Dawson, yeah.
Yeah, well, Toby Pink will probably be back there next week as long as
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
Comben comes good. And we've got the young bloke injured out probably for the year with his foot. You've got Archer out for the year with his knee. You've got Harvey, who's really a forward, being forced to play in the back line as a distributor. And I can't see how he's going to get a game unless there's a stack of injuries. Like he needs Caleb Daniel to get injured to have any hope of playing, doesn't he?
Well, you probably got Riley Hardiman's next in line. Josh Goda will play.
Yeah,
he actually showed a little bit. I think he's a better prospect than Cooper.
Goda's going to be a great player if he ever gets his body right. He's got a lot of talent, but he's an athlete as well. So his explosive speed off the back line will be important. So I don't know. I don't know how that. Harvey will end up playing well all year in the back line, but he'll never get a game.
Well, he's still a forward, Mark.
Well, he kicks a lot of goals. That's the thing that frustrates me about it. When does he not kick goals as a forward? Like, you could put him in the seniors tomorrow and he'd probably kick 3. Like, he kicked a lot of goals last year. I don't know why they just abandoned him as a forward anyway. Given they've re-signed Constantly for 2 years and Banch is playing well up there, Doveston's obviously, the major project. It's going to be hard. I don't know. Whether he even stays on the list next year will be debatable. It's going to be interesting because, you've got River Stevens who's going to struggle at this stage. I don't know if Zach Fisher's contracted for next year or not.
Well, he got injured again. He's got another 2 years after this year left.
What? 2 more years after this year?
Yeah, they signed him for 5 years, Mark.
So, they did not.
Yeah, they did. He's had 2 years left at Carlton, and we extended it by another 3 years. So. And this is his 3rd year at the club.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well,
he actually was playing all right in the VFL, but
he's a good player. But that's just 5 years for Zach Fisher's extraordinary. Maybe anyway. Okay. Well, it is what it is. He's a good player and he's a good person. Like, it's good to have him around the club.
Good guy.
Great guy. So, and look, he can play. So it's good. Yeah. He was probably the one knocking on the door more than anyone else.
I thought he was, but they haven't really put him emergency in a team.
He'll get a chance. He's got to get himself fit again now. But yeah,
that's the problem. I think
there's no one really standing out as going to this guy's too good for the VFL. Well, probably was him at one point, but apart from Banch, there's no one really doing a lot at the moment. It's a bit of a weird start to the year in the VFL.
It's more the VFL list of players that are doing pretty well.
Yeah.
Darcy McPherson.
Urquhart's out injured, isn't he?
Yeah, I haven't seen him. They got Hugo Makundu playing the half-back line.
How's he going?
He's developing. Look, he's going okay. He'll get there. He needs a good 12 months in the VFL. And then see what happens next year.
First year playing against men, it's not easy.
No, of course not. Some players develop a lot slower than others, and he's come back from a major injury too last year. I think it might have been ACL.
Things can change. River Stevens might go ballistic in the last half of the season in the VFL, but at the moment there's going to be they're going to have 3 or 4 or 5 changes by the end of the year. It's going to be tough.
Yeah, of course. That's just part of the nature of the business, unfortunately, Mark. Some players that are probably good enough to play AFL, they miss out. And, someone like Eddie Ford, I still think should be on an AFL list somewhere. Playing park football. At the moment. So, Yeah, it's just the way it is. Now, a couple of people did come in the chat. Jack Crow said Spargo looked great, guy.
Yeah,
Small ball use, very calm head. Smart might have been smart ball use. Sorry about that.
it's a
Very
fair
calm head.
comment.
Puts in effort. And George Wardlaw's pet possum, who's been coming into my mentions, Mark. Keep talking about Cameron Zurhaar going to the back line. This individual did mention it for the last 2 years, and I said it's never going to happen. And then all
Oh,
of a
he's
sudden,
a genius.
yeah, yeah, he's mentioned maybe was it Spargo? He's not your typical small forward. Really gets up on the wing hard. Yeah, might have
Yeah,
been Spargo.
he's a hard-working player. He's clever too.
Yeah, definitely. So, we mentioned team changes for this week. You mentioned there might be two. Comlin obviously comes in for Pink if he's fit. Not too sure what the illness was, and maybe Zach Bench for Tom Powell. Is that what you think?
Unless they think they don't need Dersma as that extra tool down there, but I think they'll stick with Dersma. I think he's kicked a lot of goals. He's looked dangerous. He still took a couple of beautiful contested marks in the game, even though he didn't have a lot of possessions. But he can have 9 possessions and kick 4 goals. So I think they just need to use him a little bit better because he's one-on-one. He's very hard to beat in the air, and look, he can play when the ball hits the ground.
Yeah. Look, he's never going to be a big possession player, Dersma.
No, it'll be high.
But his quality ball use and his quality kicks at goal. That's where it's at. I mean, he took that. I think he took a really good mark from a centre clearance at centre
beautiful
which led to a goal. Yeah, and that's just something no one else on the list could probably do.
It's funny. He missed a mark in the last quarter that he had his name written all over it, and I was shocked he dropped because he normally just does. He clunks those every time. Now, if he kicked that goal, it would have changed the whole narrative around his game for the match. But anyway, it just wasn't to be. It was one of those nights where things just didn't happen for us when they needed to. But his talent's not an issue for him. And his whole attitude is 100% better than it was this time a year ago. He looks like he's part of that side. He's obviously settled down with a girlfriend. He's just because I see both of them are all over social media all the time. So, but that's good.
I think he's had that girlfriend for a while.
There you go. I've just noticed it recently. But it looks like he's settled, happy. He's definitely one of the boys, so to speak, with the group now. It looks like he's earned all the players' respect, and I think that's really good. So, because I thought it was a real worry towards the end of last season whether he'd still be at the club, or whether he wanted to still be at the club. But I don't think he'd be rushing off to Essendon now.
I don't think anyone should rush off to Essendon at the moment. So the way they're going, and Brad Scott, but
I'm not sure Ben Mackay's enjoying it a lot.
Well, I think there's every second week. Yeah, there's a mention of him and the mistakes that he keeps making. So and their supporters
well paid for it.
Well, that's what happens when you got a poor list management manager like Adrian Dodoro. Who decides to give ridiculous contracts to average footballers, and you're paying the price for it now. But what else can you say? I mean, we move forward to Geelong this week, Mark. I think I might have mentioned off air. I think it's a good opportunity to play them because who knows? This could be the year. We've been waiting for it for about 15 years, but this could be the year that they might be dipping a little bit. Dangerfield, he may be washed, Mark, and there's a couple of other players that aren't going too well either.
Well, to be fair, it was probably the unluckiest week to play GWS so far this season because they got Cadman and Hogan back and a couple of others, and it was a big game for Toby Green. So just all these things didn't work in our favour, and those two forwards, obviously, quality players. Cadman kicked a few lucky goals, by the way. But so it wasn't. So maybe the luck was turned for us this week, and it's a good week to get Geelong, albeit they'll have had some pretty honest conversations down there about the way they played against Port. So it will be a lot harder at Geelong. But we're a young, aggressive side who's growing in confidence. So if ever it's a good time for us to play them, it's this week. Rather, it was a marvel, mind you. But if we're going to we've had some horror games out at Geelong in the last 7 or 8 years, so we'd be due for a good one there.
No, definitely. I think I forgot to just cross my head now. Came across me now that Tom Myers, a bit stiff to miss out. Do you think he's an option to come in this week? But I don't know who comes out because it's
I
not
don't know
like,
where he'd play unless they're moving Zerha back to the forward line. I can't see him coming back in.
yeah, it's probably just
I mean, the Zerha moves is killed him really. I mean, Sullivan comes back, so the wing's gone. So yeah, it's not because he's played poorly. I just don't think there's a spot for him right now, balance wise.
and that's a good thing, Mark. There's actually depth.
Yeah.
And competition for spots with players like Blamires. I know we talked about we would have liked to have seen a bit more competition from the VFL, but there are a couple of players there that if they did come in, like a Riley Hardiman or a Zach
Oh
Bench,
yeah.
you'd be confident they could do a job for the team.
Yeah, I'd be confident Cooper Harvey came in. You throw him back or forward, and I'd expect him to play well. Bench is a very good player at the level. Well, very good player. He's a capable player at the level who could become a good player. And certainly Blamires, absolutely. Yeah, it's just at the moment team balance makes it difficult with Zerha going back. It's made a bit of a squeeze down in the back line, and you've got Caleb Daniel in the form of his life, or back to his best form. And then Coleman's coming back in there. So there's not much room. As I said, even for Hardman to come in, he's got to kick out Luke McDonald, who's really done nothing wrong so far this year.
Yeah.
I think Hardiman is probably the guy who'll play in our next premiership side instead of Luke. So I think they probably want to get him into the side, but you can't kick Luke McDonald out while the way he's playing at the moment.
Yeah, and the good thing is these players have got to earn their way back in too.
Yeah.
They can't just be given games. And Hardiman, for all the talent he showed last year, and he's had an interrupted pre-season. I think he missed about 4 to 6 weeks with an injury. And he's come back into the VFL and hasn't really dominated as you would expect from a quality AFL footballer. So
Problem is with him is he plays better in the AFL than the VFL and always has.
Yeah.
So
you can't always rely on that too.
No.
And if no one's doing anything wrong, like Luke McDonald is in competition for his spot, Luke Parker's in competition for his spot. Yeah, unfortunately,
now Zerha's back there as well.
Yeah, that's right. And sometimes Caleb Daniel's been quite good.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just have to bide your time and
injuries happen. It's a long season.
Injuries, suspensions, they always happen.
He'll get a chance.
And you just got to wait for your turn. And if they don't get that opportunity and they play VFL all year, it's not a bad thing. It means we've had no injuries or suspensions, and we're continually winning games as well, or being competitive at least, Mark.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, but we'll see how we go this week. Anyways, Mark, anything else before I let you go?
No, mate, I'm looking forward to this game. I think, to be honest, I probably expect us to be competitive ongoing for the rest of the year, unless things happen injury-wise. But the boys look like they've matured. And they said it during the pre-season that they started to look more like men than kids, and that definitely is translated into the start of the year. So that physically now we look like we're capable of competing both strength and fitness-wise. We don't look like we don't belong anymore, which definitely wasn't the case a few years ago. We really looked underdone in both those areas. So that's exciting now. If we get our decision-making right, and I think the one thing we probably haven't talked about is the guys coming to support Clarko on the strategic side. Is it Little John?
Yeah, Little John from Box Hill.
Yeah. So he's. I don't know much about him, but I heard big things about him before he's arrived, and I don't think it's a coincidence that defensive structures improved dramatically. So that to me has probably been the best thing that's happened this year. I feel like we can, as supporters, we probably trust the side a lot more now. That we're not going to just get overrun. We seem to be able to halt momentum a lot better than I've seen for a long time. So, yeah, mate, there's a lot to look forward to. We just want to get a win against a good side to try and build some belief and kill this narrative that we're only winning these games because they're against poor sides, which they were. We probably do need to win against a better side soon. So hopefully it comes this week.
No, definitely. I mean, we'd like to, get a win this week and stay, in the top 6. I guess we've still got a very good percentage at the moment, Mark. So that's always a bonus. If you win this week, then it can build, going forward as well.
Belief.
Belief and, get a lot more confidence. And all of a sudden, these tricky teams and tricky opposition that we've got playing over the next few weeks, it doesn't look as bad. So
that's right.
We'll focus on Geelong this week. But Mark, thanks so much for coming on, mate. I appreciate sharing your thoughts after a tough loss. Plenty to take out of it, even if the result didn't go away. So thanks for coming on, Mark.
Pleasure, mate. Enjoy a feed at the Sawyers Arms Hotel in Geelong before the game on the weekend. I'll look forward to your feedback on that. And hopefully you, the supporters, enjoy a win down there.
Yeah, look, I didn't mention, but I am going to the game this week. I got my ticket today. So, yeah,
Nice.
First time I'm going to Geelong, HBA Stadium. So I'm really looking forward to it. Exciting time to be a North fan. So, yeah, I'll go down, have a look. Probably the first opportunity I've had in about 10 years to go. So, yeah, why not? But we'll keep tracking the progress, the improvements, and hopefully a bounce-back performance this week. Thanks to everyone for listening. Don't forget to share the podcast with your fellow Roos supporters. You can find me at #Kangaroos on X and Instagram, #Kangaroos podcast. Until next time, which will be Thursday, we'll go through team selection. This has been #Kangaroos. Thanks for listening, and go Roos.